It's awesome.
Hello, hello. Well, those of you that thought this was not a real ZR1, well, sorry to tell you guys that it's a real ZR1. So a lot of you that are probably new to the channel saw the viral Instagram reel that was 10 seconds long that seemed to piss everyone off, where I simply pushed the hood down and there was a Coyote in a ZR1. Now, I'm going to explain to you guys, to the new people, because if you've been here for a little while, you know exactly why I Coyote swap this ZR1. But a lot of people are confused. Why did you Coyote swap when it had a great motor in it? I'm like, okay, I'll give you the rundown just to kind of bring you up to speed as to why I went ahead with the Coyote on this particular ZR1. I'll tell you the story about the LS9, and I'll tell you why I chose to swap in my opinion, a much better motor. So let's dispel some myths real quick. Okay, obviously I need to get I already got another cover, so don't worry. This is just to see if it would fit under the hood, and it did. And this is a Gen 1 intake because it has the little mounting cups for the engine cover. So it's probably gonna get a Gen 3 intake, but for mock-up purposes, it's gonna have a Gen 1 intake on it. So, dispelling myths. It is attached via the bell housing. The Coyote motor is attached to listen to that thing, to the motor. It's literally, you know, clutch is installed. I'll get you clips of the throwout bearing actuating the clutch. The torque tube was reused, obviously, so this is a custom bell housing that has modular belt bolt pattern, and we custom made some stuff to make it fit to the factory torque tube. There are custom motor mounts. We reused the stock LS9 bracket. Obviously there's a washer that looks like made its way back there, and we for now put the proper spacing so that we were happy with where the Coyote motor sat. So all of that took a lot of measuring, a lot of time, a lot of vetting of the combo to make sure the Coyote motor fit. Now, contrary to popular opinion, the Coyote motor fits great. A lot of you guys are out there, you're listening to guys on the internet saying Coyote motor's too big, it's a big block, it's massive, no way it fits. Well, it fit. And not only did it fit pretty damn near perfectly. When you shut the hood, plenty of clearance back there. As you can see, there's a ton of clearance, nothing's hitting. You can see damn near everything. A lot of you that are familiar with the LS9 know that there is not that much room here. There, you know, it's at a premium, so crank is, you know, if I do have to do any work to the cams or anything and I have to take the balancer off, yes, the rack has to come out, just like an LS9. So let's give you the story as to why I ended up Coyote swapping the ZR1. So I had the car for a little while. It was driving pretty good. And as always, I do the mods that every ZR1 bro does. He does the pulley, he does the snout, he does the porting, all that stuff. And the car was making okay power. See, contrary to what you believe on the internet, these cars don't make 600 real horsepower from the factory. They're like in the 530 range. 550 if you're extremely lucky, okay? But it is a 3,000 pound car. It's an extremely light car. So 550 real horsepower, it's actually pretty darn good. So after porting the blower, got a Kong export, got it on race gas, Sunoco 260 GT. I upgraded the injector, did some tuning, got Kong's Ram Air, cold air, and it ended up making just shy of 600 or so real horsepower. Then we added some more spark advance, added some more boost. We went to a 2.3 upper pulley, and it ended up making 699. I did not crest the 700 real horsepower with like 20 PSI. Now, it did have the stock cam. So stock cam LS9, 20 PSI, Sunoco 260 GT, and 20 pounds of boost yielded about 700 real horsepower. Let's say 699 real horsepower at 20 pounds of boost. Remember that, guys. But what was the biggest issue? Cooling. I'm in Florida. This sucker got to 160, 140 IATs and it would not recover. So then you have to start thinking about upgrading the cooling. Subsequently, after, trying to do some more upgrades, I got the opportunity to rebuild the transmission because the second gear synchro went to shit. So, sent it up north, got the transmission rebuilt. While it was up north, someone offered me to go ahead and retune it and install a flex fuel sensor. So they said, look, we'll install a flex fuel sensor. We'll go ahead and tune it on, 50% because the stock fuel pump is not going to be able to, what is this red stuff? Oh gosh, don't get me started on that. So they said, let's do E50, but the other 50% would be race gas. So 50% race gas, 50% ethanol, tune it on that. And it ended up making 750 real horsepower. In the process of that tuning, I suspect an intercooler leak, an intercooler brick leak happened. Not because of the tuning, I just think it just developed an intercooler brick leak. After a couple of runs and driving it around, you just didn't feel that good anymore, and I did a small hit and it just literally melted one piston. So I suspect that the coolant ended up into the combustion event and bad things happened. So I'm not blaming the tuning, I'm not blaming anything. What I'm blaming it is on not noticing an intercooler brick leak, because when I received it after it was up north, it smelled immediately like antifreeze. I went, this thing smells like coolant, and you know that coolant smell. So after doing that for a little while, I ended up going, okay, well, now the motor's junk. So then started the process of pricing everything out. And guys, let's do some pricing and weight comparisons and all that stuff. LS guys will tell you that the Coyote is much heavier than the LS. Why? Because they physically look at it. Would you just look at it? Frame rail to frame rail, it takes up the whole top. But what about underneath? What about all this room for activity underneath? It severely tapers down, and there's a ton of room down here. So this motor, if anything, is, I want to say maybe exactly the same width, or it's as narrow as an LS, but remember, it's a 5.0 liter. It is not a 6.2 liter. Let's talk about the weight. Is the Coyote heavier than an LS? Yes or no, guys? Pause the video, Google LS3 weight. Why LS3? It's naturally aspirated, so they don't take into account the weight of the supercharger. So the most comparable engine that you can put up against weight for weight on a Coyote would be the LS3. The LS3 undressed is 20 pounds heavier than the Coyote. And that really messes with people's heads, because they visually look at the Coyote and they go, it's huge. Only at the top where the cylinder heads lie, because it's dual overhead cam. The LS9 weighed a little more, obviously, because of the supercharger, but people are forgetting one crucial thing. Not only was the LS9 heavier because of the supercharger and all that stuff, but guess what is right over here that is now missing? Can anyone guess, if you have a ZR1, what used to be there? Why does this area look so accessible and so open? Huh? It's because there used to be an oil tank there. The LS9 is dry sump, and there is a massive, tall, 2 foot long or more metal tank holding 10 to 11 quarts of oil. So the total weight of the LS9 supercharger, everything, oil, was damn near 600 pounds. Now, if the Coyote was so much heavier, why is it having a Carolina squat moment? I get it, it doesn't have the accessories or anything in it, but how much are accessories? 75 pounds? 100 pounds? 120 pounds, right? I get it, I haven't hung the turbos on it, I haven't hung any of the power adder stuff on it. But if the Coyote was truly much heavier than the LS, why is it up in the air like this? Second thing you have to take into account is the cost to build the LS9. So now I was left with a motor that needed a complete rebuild. Go ahead and do some Googling and find out what the cost is to sleeve an LS9 block. How much does it cost to rebuild an LS9 to factory specs? Okay, we're talking, it needed a new piston. All the other pistons seem to be okay. But if you're in there and you're gonna sleeve one cylinder, why not sleeve them all? Okay, so now I send the block out to get completely sleeved. Then I source an LS9 piston. Then I completely have somebody rebuild it, an engine builder. And then you're gonna upgrade it a little bit, right? Maybe redo the cylinder heads because they're out, and then maybe shove a cam in, right? So let's say you do all of that. You take the motor and you sleeve it, rebuild it, put a new piston in it, put it all together, new gaskets, all the labor. What do you think that's gonna cost you? Cam, heads, all that stuff. It's gonna be north of $10,000, right? North of $10,000. Then I remembered one crucial thing. I am the Coyote guy. I swapped a Coyote into a 14 GT500 and it's running as good, if not, believe it or not, better than a Trinity, even a built Trinity would run in this setup. Yes, it's a real GT500. It's not some clone. It's a legit GT500. So after doing a bunch of thinking, I said, wait a minute, since I have access to all of these Coyotes, I thought to myself, why not put a Coyote in it? I know the engine extremely well. The aftermarket support is way more robust in terms of cooling. And I have access to any of them and I can get them fairly decently priced. Remember, after completely rebuilding the LS9 for over $10,000, I still had to address the cooling. So go ahead and price up a lid, bricks, heat exchanger, and maybe an ice tank. Oh, and maybe meth. We are in Florida. It is always over 90 for 6 or 7 months out of the year. We don't have the luxury of having 40-degree fall weather like a lot of you Northeastern guys or even California guys have, it depending on what time you go out at racing. So I thought to myself, well, let me do this. Let me go ahead and see if I can see if it even fits. So what I ended up doing is I Googled Coyote mock-up motor. And after some Googling, I found this on the internet. This is basically, I think from Speedway, if I'm not mistaken. Little patent pending deal. So this is basically a mock-up motor. So I thought, you know what? Let me buy it, assemble it, and throw it in the Corvette to see if it even physically fits. And after putting it in there, I was kind of pleasantly surprised how well it fit. Remember, this is a Fox body, okay? This is a Fairmont. It's already tied up here. So if it's equally tight here and we can deal with it, then I can more than deal with this on both sides. It kind of fits in a similar fashion as it would in a Fox body in terms of space. The Coyote Swap is wildly popular in the Fox body game, and I have access to the best Fox body Coyote Swap person on the planet, Jake Long at Power by the Hour. So I thought, let me run it by Jake. After some conversations with Jake, he says, I can't see why we can't make it work. So physically, what was required to install the Coyote in the Corvette? 3 main items: custom oil pan, custom motor mounts, and a custom bell housing to fit the modular bolt pattern motor to the torque tube. And it ended up working out. The clutch is a a RXT off the shelf Coyote clutch, and all we had to do was make a custom flywheel so that the spacing and it would engage the splines on the input shaft and a custom pilot bushing. So basically, let's just say 3 or 4 things to make the Coyote fit into the ZR1. The Coyote Aftermarket has an insane amount of cooling and aftermarket IAT2 support, right? The intercooling and the heat exchanging on the Coyote market not only is better, it's actually a lot cheaper, and I have access to all the goodies: Department of Boost lower, Department of Boost heat exchanger. I even have access to 2650 front feeds, 2650 rear feeds. I have access to everything. I have clutch kit after clutch kit after clutch kit. It was a very easy decision to put a Coyote in this thing. To do a little things to show you guys that the motor's not in there for mock-up reasons. The motor is in there in its final position. So it's in neutral. Gonna push it. Okay. Now it's in gear. She ain't going nowheres. So they are married to each other. Finally, what are the goals with this Coyote Swap ZR1? Well, let's be honest. I'm not gonna go out there and be a world beater. There are 1100, 1200 rear wheel horsepower LS equipped ZR1s. I'm not out there to be the best, the baddest, but I am out there to run a motor that I'm really familiar with. The aftermarket support is ridiculous. The tuning is something I do for a living. For 10 years, I have tuned these engines. I know them in, out, sideways, the whole 9 yards. So, is it going to be naturally aspirated? Are you fucking crazy? No, no one would ever put a naturally aspirated Coyote in this thing. This is a Gen 3 bottom end, 12-to-1 compression, Gen 2 cylinder heads, Gen 2 cams. I'm going to use a Ford Racing control pack, a converter to have the CAN bus work, already talked to the people, and it's going to have a custom twin turbo kit, air-to-air intercooler, and I'm hoping to make 900, and if it crests 1,000 on the dyno, cool, but I want to live in the 800 to 900 rear wheel horsepower range. It's going to have plenty of torque because of the turbos. I'm not going to put massive turbos on it, so it only has a bunch of top end. I'm going to do my best to, you know, make the turbo size proper so that we have some low end torque, because first gear is long, but 2, 3, and 4 are super tight and the car is extremely light. So a lot of the arguments on the internet are a little crazy because you have never experienced what it is to drive one of these things. Most of the people that say this is a negative swap are the people that have never owned either platform. So I know the ins and outs of the Coyote. Now I'm learning the ins and outs of the ZR1 based on owning it for a couple of years. So it was a no-brainer to Coyote swap a ZR1 because 1, I can. 2, it's a better motor. It isn't? Then why did Chevy put dual overhead cam 5.5 liter motors on their ZR1s and Z06s? Answer that question. Thanks for listening, guys. Talk to you later.